Hello trader, welcome back to another weekly forex forecast for the second week of April 2025. We have seen that NFP has been released and there has been significant change in market sentiment as with the tariff news from Trump has really changed the market condition, and we might see significant change in the current market structure. So this weekly forex forecast could be very different, so make sure guys stick till the end to see what kind of trading opportunity may arise in the upcoming week. There is quite a few short listed pairs here. We will be looking at DXY, British Pound US Dollar, Euro Dollar, AUD USD, Dollar CAD AUD USD, XAU USD, Dollar Yen, GBP JPY, and NZD USD. Now before I begin this weekly forex forecast, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So without further delay, let's get started this week's weekly forex forecast. Okay, data. So we'll be starting as usual with DXY, as DXY can give us clear direction, removing all the noise from the lower time frame, and we can understand most of the USD pairs including gold movement based on DXY. Beginning with the monthly chart to see overall picture in this market. Now from the monthly, if we closely look at it, we can see that this is the monthly price action on DXY. There has been significant drop here from the monthly perspective. And this current monthly candle, after the open, we have seen there is a drop here from a long week candle formation here so far in the first week. And with that long week candle formation, DXY, from this level, we have seen there is a significant reaction from the support level. Now, if we look at the historical perspective from the monthly, we can see that this is a long term, from the historical perspective, a bull market, though we saw back-to-back 4 months. The market was in a bearish move, but you see the price currently on the monthly support level, which is here, support here, and also support here. And as the market tested that support, we can expect for DXY to potentially retest and then to return back again to the upside to create a new higher high. So from the monthly, we might see that DXY, after initial pullback, the price may turn to become a bull market. If we look at the weekly perspective on DXY, we can see that this is the weekly price action. We have seen with this long week candle a drop, pullback, a big drop, sideways movement, and we can see the market in that area has formed this long week candle. And from this support level here on DXY, we can see the big move, correction, another move, and it is in fact a bigger picture bull market. A smaller picture, we saw the drop back to that support level. This is the weekly candle that has a long week, and I think that this week we might see initial pullback and potentially to retest and then to continue to rise again to the major direction of the long-term trend. Now looking at the daily chart to see what kind of price action, we see there is a massive gap open and followed by NFP candle is an inside bar here on the daily. Now this daily inside bar is quite significant, as this might lead the price back to sideways movement for a few days. As upcoming week, what I think that we might see that lower time frame sideways movement before it might grab the liquidity and then potentially to change its trend to the long-term direction of the trend. So looking at the intraday perspective, here we see there is a reversal pattern formation and then break to the upside with the reversal pattern. There is a liquidity candle formation. There's another liquidity, back-to-back, two important liquidity candle formation here on DXY. And what we could see that this week, what I think the market might move potentially in a sideways in that area, and with that sideways movement we could see the market may grab that massive amount of liquidity and then to potentially move back up again to create a new higher high in this market. So therefore we will be waiting for on DXY potentially to initially drop or move in a sideways, and then to possibly to change its trend to the upside. This is where as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on most of the USD pairs, we could see that reversal with the change of trend, and this could be the wave for potentially for the upcoming week for DXY to potentially to change its trend from a downtrend to an uptrend. Now let's look at British pound US dollar to see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Looking at the monthly chart to see what is happening. Now looking at monthly, we can see that this is the monthly price action on GBPUSD, and this current monthly candle from this support level here, we have seen there is a strong bounce to the upside from that head and shoulder from this monthly doji. So far in the first week we saw there is a significant movement followed by rejection here, and what I think that this candle might be a possible a reversal, as we see that the market already has got a rejection from the top. Any pullback to the upside can give potential selling opportunity in this market on GBPUSD. Now looking at the weekly chart on British pound US dollar, we can see this is the weekly doji formation here, and with that weekly doji, the market from this structure, we have seen there is a complete break below with this long week candle. And what I think that this week, as the price already has got a strong rejection from the top, we might see that initial pullback to the upside to this resistance line, and then to drop back again to the major direction of the trend from the weekly perspective. So initially we could see upside and then possibly to change the trend to the downside here on the weekly perspective. Now looking at the daily chart, we can see that there is a very sharp rejection on the daily last day of trading week with the NFP. The market has broken completely from the structure, which might be signaling potential change of trend here to this support level, or even breaking back below the order block from the daily and lower time frame perspective. So looking at the 4-hour or the intraday chart, we can see that there was a long consolidation here, a strong break to the upside and straight immediate break below. This is the sign of reversal. The market more often change the trend with an immediate bounce and with a strong rejection, that giving a probability for GBPUSD to continue to drop again to that support level. So therefore this is where what we can see that on GBPUSD, as soon as we will find suitable entry in that area after price action confirmation, what I think that this is where we could see the market is in that area to retest and then to drop again to the support level. This is where as soon as we will find suitable entry on British pound US dollar, we will be looking for selling opportunity. And this week we might see that the price to remain potentially bearish in that direction, as we might see the change of trend in this market. Now let's look at euro dollar. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have. Looking at monthly here on euro dollar, we can see that from the monthly, as we expected in the beginning of the month, euro dollar to bounce back up to the resistance line, and we can see the price in fact has tested that monthly high and strongly got rejected from that high, giving a probability for euro dollar to potentially to trend in that direction to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the weekly perspective here on Euro USD, we can see that from the weekly perspective, this is the weekly level where there is a resistance here, and also resistance here. From the weekly perspective, expecting on euro dollar after initial pullback possibly to break below again to the downside to create a new lower low in this market. Now looking at daily chart here, what you can see that there was a break to the upside followed by very strong rejection with the NFP data. As we see that there's a fundamental change with the tariff, we may see that strengthening on DXY that could give possible downtrending market structure on euro dollar. And if we could guys closely look at it, this is an inside bar, and we might see that a little sideways movement throughout the week, and finally we could see that potentially change in trend to create a new lower low in this market. So if we look at the euro dollar here, we can see that from the euro dollar perspective, this is the euro USD move, a complete break to the upside followed by sideways movement here, expecting euro dollar possibly to retest here and then to potentially change its trend to the downside. So as soon as we will find strong rejection from the top on euro dollar, we will be looking for selling opportunity in this market. Now let's look at AUD USD. Now AUD USD, you can see there is a strong rejection from the top. Now if you look at the monthly chart on AUD USD, this is the monthly price action. In the first week of the month, we can see that after back-to-back 2 monthly doji formation, this month, as soon as the market tested the high, there has been strong rejection from the top on AUD USD, and we can expect for the market after initial pullback for the price to again drop back down to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the weekly perspective on AUD USD, we can see that from the weekly time frame, this is the weekly price action here, this is an important level of support from the weekly on AUD USD, and there is a triangular pattern formation here on AUD USD. We have seen there is a complete breakup structure from the weekly perspective, expecting for this market to pull back to the upside and then to trend again in that direction to create a new lower low. Now looking at the daily chart here, this is the daily price action. We have seen there is a strong break below from the daily, which is a complete breakup structure. We could see that potentially to sideways movement in the beginning of the week, and that could give possibly another opportunity to sell again. And what I think that in the first few days, we could see that sideways movement and retesting this support as a resistance and then to drop again to create a new lower low in this market. Now from the forward perspective here is we can see a clean head and shoulder formation, complete break from that head and shoulder, and with that head and shoulder break we can expect for this market possibly to retest here and then to drop back again to the major direction of the trend. So this is where as soon as we will find suitable entry on AUD USD, we will be looking for selling opportunity in this market. Now let's look at dollar CAD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity. As we see the dollar CAD also had a very sharp rejection from this support level. Now looking at monthly chart on dollar CAD, we can see that with the strengthening of dollar, potentially we could see the dollar CAD as well to possibly to bounce back up in the major direction of the trend. In the first week we saw there is a significant drop with the NFP and then has got a reaction to the upside, and this week we might see that initial pullback and then to potentially to remain bullish for long-term perspective on dollar CAD. Now if we look at the weekly chart on dollar CAD, we can see that this is the weekly price action. There is a long wick candle here, and with that weekly level, this is an important level of support here and also support here, resistance here. And what I think that this week we might see that the price to retest and then to possibly to trend again to create a new higher high in this market. Now looking at daily chart here on this instrument from the daily dollar CAD, this is the daily inside bar, and we have seen after break of this support level, the market is completely in a sideways at the moment, expecting for this market to remain in a sideways for a few days or at least 1 or 2 days. And what I think that after that the market may potentially bounce back up, as it is an inside bar, the price might need liquidity from this support level to potentially move back to the upside again to create a new higher high. So looking at the 4-hour chart here on dollar CAD, we can see that this is the 4-hour time frame. There is a liquidity grab and followed by another liquidity candle formation. Quite a few days, quite a few sessions, we saw that there was a strong bounce and a strong rejection from this support level. We might see that dollar CAD to potentially pull back to that level and then to bounce back up to create a new higher high in this market. As soon as we will find suitable entry on dollar CAD, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at NZD USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Looking at the monthly chart on NZD USD, now this week, as you can see, there is a very important news coming up on NZD, and with that news we could see the price potentially having a stronger reaction. Now this is the monthly price action. We can see back to back 3 important monthly long week candle formation here, and this month the price has crossed that high, grabbed the liquidity, has got a strong rejection to the downside with that monthly impulse here on NZD/USD. And what we can expect, what I think that in this week after initial pullback, the price to drop again to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the weekly perspective here on NZD/USD, we can see that from the weekly the price has crossed back to back 2 important doji here, crossed that high, grabbed the liquidity, and then has got a strong rejection from the top with a high probability potential trade setup here. And we could see that from the daily perspective here on NZD/USD, there is a head and shoulder here, and with that head and shoulder the market has formed a long bearish engulfer. And what we could see that with the market open expecting pullback, as we could see in the beginning of the week, potential sideways movement, grabbing the liquidity, and then to trend again in that direction to create a new lower low in this market. Now this is the 4-hour drop here NZD/USD, which is a significant bearish move, and we could see that after initial pullback the market to remain bearish. As we could see with the upcoming news, we might see that NZD/USD becoming bearish for long-term picture here to drop back to this support level. Now let's look at XAU/USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we might have on gold, and we may see that possibly a change of sentiment in this market, as we have seen that DXY also potentially showing some sign of change in the trend. Now looking at first of all bigger picture on the monthly chart on gold, we can see that from the monthly here, this is the monthly price action, and from this support level on the monthly, a massive breakout on the monthly followed by this pullback, and we can see another bounce followed by deeper pullback, and you can see that the market is in another impulsive phase from the monthly. Now as with the monthly rejection from the top, we can see that the price could coming back for deeper pullback or even potentially a short-term reversal here. Now let's look at first of all technical perspective what the market might be doing here. Now if we closely look at, we can see that historically it was in a bull market, and this is where the market formed that inverted head and shoulder, and with that inverted head and shoulder there was a strong breakout, and we see that 3 very important wave on the monthly in this market. And after the 3rd wave here, after back-to-back 3 months of bullish move, what happened? The market from this resistance line, there is a sharp rejection from the top. Now this rejection could lead that price potentially back to this support level here, as we might see that as the market has already made 3 waves and the price has reached that all-time high, crossed the 3000 level, and now we could see the price to come back again for a deeper liquidity grab. Now if the market is reversing from that level, which we see the lower time frame price action showing potential reversal pattern, we may see that ultimately the price to go back to that 2500 level or even touching that 20 EMA from the monthly, and this is a very important liquidity zone here. If we look at the weekly chart here, we can see there is a weekly doji formation, and now still the market in a bullish trend. And what I think that if the price reverse, we might see that a straight drop back to that monthly support level in couple of weeks, or we could see the price is still remaining bullish. That we will be understanding from the further price action confirmation here. Now this is the daily chart here, and we can see that from the daily the price seems like that potentially weaker. The buyers, we might see a potential reversal in that market. As we can see the previous day, there is a daily doji followed by a daily bearish engulfer, a long bearish candle. The market has tested this support here on the daily, and what I think that on XAUUSD from the daily perspective, for the price to possibly to break below, and we might see that further downside here, potentially a shoulder formation that could make a head and shoulder, and then to drop again to that weekly and monthly support level. That could be potential trajectory on the lower time frame. If we look at the 4-hour chart here, we can spot that head and shoulder formation in this market. Now this head and shoulder is looks like that we saw quite a few liquidity grab here. There is strong liquidity grab here, and also here, and also here, and also here. So those candles signaling potential liquidity grab, and therefore from the lower time frame perspective we could see a change of trend potentially in this market. So if you look at the 1 hour chart here on XAUUSD, we can see that this is the 1 hour price action, and with that 1 hour price action from this resistance line, a big drop, potentially pullback to the upside we have seen, and we might see that after initial pullback XAUUSD to remain bearish. So this week our eye will be to potentially finding selling opportunity in this market, as this price is showing a highly bearish market structure. Traders, if you enjoyed this analysis, make sure you give a thumbs up, and also if you want to explore more about the education and updates that I'm posting, you can find link below this video. You can visit the website www.forextradingwizard.com, and also join free Telegram channel for more updated education and analysis, also sharing in that channel for free to help the trading community. Now let's look at dollar yen. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Looking at the monthly chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the monthly, this market with the back-to-back 4 months, dollar yen has shown significant bearish move, and this month, as you can see, as soon as market open, we have seen there is a strong breakup structure here, has dropped back to that monthly support level, and we might see that dollar yen after retest to bounce back up again to create a new higher high in this market. Now if we look at the weekly chart here on dollar yen, we can see that from the weekly perspective, this is the weekly price action, and there was a strong breakdown on the weekly, pullback, another drop, pullback, and the market is in another bearish move. And at the same time we saw there was a strong rejection to the upside last day of trading week with the NFP. And what I think that after initial pullback, dollar yen to remain bullish to create a new higher high in this market. Now if we look at the daily chart here on dollar yen, we can see that from the daily, this is the daily price action where daily doji formation in that area, and what we can expect in this market for the price to possibly to bounce back up to create a new higher high. And what we can see here after initial pullback for the dollar yen to remain bullish to the upside to retest this support turning resistance in that market. Now looking at the 4 hour chart on dollar yen, we can see that in this lower time frame the market has got a very sharp rejection from this support level, and we can see that the price slowly potentially forming a reversal pattern here. So this is where we'll be waiting for a pullback, and as soon as we will find suitable entry, we'll be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at GBP JPY, as JPY news coming this week. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity you might have. In the monthly chart, we can see that from the monthly, in the first week of the month, GJ so far has got a sharp rejection from the top, and the market just has tested this monthly support here, and we saw there is some buying pressure from this level on GBP JPY. And what we can expect in this market after this retest for the price to bounce back up potentially to that level, as already the price in the first week of the month has dropped well below, we might see now potential pullback in this market. Now looking at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly, from this resistance, there is a weekly strong bearish candle formation. The price from the weekly so far has dropped here, expecting a retest and then to bounce back up to create a new higher high in this market. Now if we look at the daily chart here on GBP JPY, we can see that from the daily perspective, from this resistance line, there is a big drop here, expecting GJ to potentially retest here and then to trend again to the upside to create a new higher high in this market. Looking at the 4 hour chart on GJ, we can see after this head and shoulder formation, there has been significant breakup structure here. We could see some further bearish pressure here, and what I think that we might see the bulls may try to take control, as we can see if we look at this long-term trend line here. the price is on the support level and expecting after initial pullback here for the market to possibly to move back up this week for deeper pullback either to neckline or further to the upside. So this could be the wave for the upcoming week on GBP JPY. Traders, I hope that you enjoyed this education and analysis as well as the weekly forex forecast. If you enjoyed, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.